Welcome to Big Ideas Little Table. I'm Peter.
And I'm Chris.
And today we are reacting to Deadpool 3. I had some intense reaction when you first got here.
Oh my God.
Which I had seen, not your reaction, but I had seen the videos and stuff. I didn't think too much of it, but when you came in, we had to talk about it.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was going to be such a big thing. So
it's Deadpool and Wolverine.
But we've already had two others. This is the third one.
Okay.
Why are you so excited? That's what I want to know. What's the big deal?
The big deal is that we are bringing Deadpool and Wolverine and all the other X-Men really fully into the MCU as it is now, which, I mean, if you follow the comics at all, like the best part about Marvel is everybody's all everybody interacts, everybody gets to go into like everything. And so the mutants, the X-Men, have been, conspicuously missing from the MCU, and now they're all getting brought in. And even with the Doctor Strange in the multiverse, where we first got to see like a Professor X was in that one. I don't know if you saw that one, but oh my God, so great. It's like, we're finally getting all the X-Men into the MCU so they get to interact with everybody else. And it's just so great.
Gotcha. So for someone that knows very little about this, the Avengers...
Sure.
Those guys have been doing their thing.
Yes.
They're all connected. X-Men are also part of this universe.
Yes.
And now they are joining. This is the one, the film that's going to join in both.
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. I mean, if you follow the Avengers, we have lost a significant number of them.
Yeah. The last one I saw, like half of them died. Like Thanos, the good guy, finally won.
Sure.
And he was bringing peace to the universe.
Sure.
And then they brought him back. Something happened.
Well, we're out Tony. We lost Iron Man.
Okay, yeah, but he was gone for good.
Yeah, he's gone for good.
He sacrificed himself.
He
right?
did.
Which is too bad. My favorite one was Iron Man.
Well, I mean, he kicked it off. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. Props to the man, because holy cow, did he start the whole thing?
But technically, I think it was. I was reading an article on this because I thought it was Iron Man 2.
Sure.
Or sorry, Iron Man, but I think Blade was technically the first.
It was, but it did not have like the reactionary following that led to the. I mean, the Blade was there, and what's funny is Ryan Reynolds was in Blade.
Was he really? I didn't even know that. A little bit of movie trivia there.
Was he?
Or is this like a Captain Planet thing again? Like Ryan Reynolds, yeah, he was in the first Blade.
No.
You mean Wesley Snipes?
Yes,
not
Wesley.
the same guy. Very different people.
No, he was not the main character. He was definitely in it though, and I'm trying to remember if he was in number 1 or if it wasn't until like number 2 or 3, because Blade had 3.
Really?
Yeah, and
wow.
I'm trying to remember all of them, but it's been many years.
So that kicked it off, but it wasn't a big thing.
Yeah,
So just kind of like the promo, when they have when they kick off shows and they start with the first episode.
It was the beta version.
Exactly.
There's the pilot.
The pilot. That's what I was searching for.
Well, but I wouldn't even say that, because there was a number of years from Blade to Iron Man 1, because Iron Man 1 didn't come out until 2010.
It was a while, yeah.
And I believe the Blade was in the early 2000s, if even
maybe
the 90s.
Yeah.
And even after Iron Man 1, they kind of were. I mean, they gained traction because it was so good. But then they did like the Hulk, and that wasn't as like.
Oh yeah, because they did Edward Norton Hulk, right?
Norton,
which I actually thought was better. What's your preference, Edward Norton or Mark Ruffalo? Really?
Oh my God, Mark Ruffalo! First of all, he's a dreamboat. Second of all, he's still a dreamboat. Thirdly, no, I feel that he played more the Bruce Banner who is afraid of himself. Like, I felt like Edward Norton was a bit cockier with his portrayal of Bruce Banner. Like, don't fuck with me or I'll Hulk your face off.
And I think that's what I liked about it. It was more real. It was more like, okay, I would do the same thing. Like if I was in that position, this is probably how I would act.
See, but I feel I just feel like Mark Ruffalo nailed it better, where he's like, it's almost like this burden that he must bear. And so he's afraid of it because every time Hulk comes out, it is a disaster. Like, it may have already been a disaster, but now I'm just adding more to I create so much more damage and destruction. Like, I'm afraid of myself.
Interesting take.
I feel like he played a much better, I'm constantly nervous because I'm always afraid that I might break. I think Mark Ruffalo just with that fantastic coif of hair and
well, he's still
gentle
there.
Eyes.
Maybe that's what they had to do. They're like, well, they're both great actors, but look at his hair.
I'm sorry if it's Mark Ruffalo versus Edward Norton. It's Mark Ruffalo all day, every day.
I'm curious to see what everyone else thinks. Mark Ruffalo or Edward Norton. So we had Iron Man really kicked it off,
Yeah.
got things going. Then you have the Hulk and Thor and all the other ones.
Yes, Captain
And
America.
X-Men was going on, I think, before this, right? I think
Yeah,
X-Men
that was
already
early
a thing.
2000s. That was early 2000s. But Marvel had sold off the rights to a number of their characters, including all of the mutants and everything, the X-Men, so to speak, and Deadpool and Spider-Man, and they had sold out a lot, and they had been reacquiring them.
Spider-Man is part of this whole universe too?
Yes, and Marvel had a deal with Sony that made it so that they could work together, but that deal ended with the last Spider-Man, and they kind of wrote the movie so that if Spider-Man doesn't get to come back, he doesn't get to come back. Like,
Wait, so the Tobey Maguire OG Spider-Man, that's something
separate
else?
and well, I mean, Sony has restarted it several times. I think they were all Sony because they did Tobey Maguire, then they did Andrew Garfield, and now they have Tom Holland. But Marvel and Sony, while Sony is still retaining the rights to Spider-Man and his villains.
I love how you made emphasis on it.
Well, Spider-Man,
you can tell they're evil by villains.
Spider-Man has a lot of villains. Spider-Man is like, Batman's got a lot of villains on the DC side. Yeah. Spider-Man's got a ton. He interacts with so many different villains and whatever. Anyway, so Sony still has the rights to Spider-Man, and they had a deal with Marvel to do an exchange basically, so Spider-Man could appear in a Marvel film if then a Marvel character would appear in the Spider-Man films, which is how you got like Doctor Strange in there. You had Iron Man in one of them.
Interesting. Like, so he is part of the universe, but because of these restrictions, these rights, it's kind of a little bit funky.
Gets a little murky. And as I said, the last one with what was it, Spider-Man No Way Home or whatever, where at the end of the movie, spoiler alert.
Okay. Thanks for the heads up.
Essentially, Doctor Strange casts a spell to make everyone forget who Spider-Man was, or that they ever even knew him.
Gotcha.
And so, like,
that's my biggest problem with these universe things, but we'll get there.
But so they essentially set it up so they can write him out, so he can still exist elsewhere. Sony can continue, but it's like all of the superheroes who have ever interacted with him, and anyone who's ever interacted with him has no idea who he is.
That's fascinating. There's so much to this. I think that's what really kind of like knocked me off the boat. I was following with Iron Man.
Sure.
And then, Spider-Man and then Thor, all like the first ones, even up to the first Avengers. And then after that, there was so much. There were so many movies and so much story.
Sure.
I just, had other things on my mind, had other things going.
Yeah.
You miss a few, and then once you're behind, you're out. You're just hard to catch up. And now I'm like, whoa, this is happening? So that's why I was so interested to see that Deadpool 3 was coming out. And
well... The thing that's so great, and I feel like I read or heard somewhere that they are maintaining, because Deadpool is the 13-year-old asshole that we all want to be. Like, he's sarcastic and uber violent and like ridiculous and childish and all of these things. He says inappropriate stuff. And the other thing is he breaks the fourth wall, which is hilarious to have in a movie, especially with how well they did it in the first one. And to a lesser extent, the second one, I wasn't as big a fan of the second one.
Agreed.
Because they gave him too many attachments, in my opinion. Like, Deadpool's supposed to be the mercenary. Like, he's not supposed to be super attached. I mean, they had the girlfriend love story in the first one, which was fine, but then they gave him like this other kid in the second one. Anyway, sorry, so many tangents. I was so excited about this. But because they're actually finally bringing Deadpool in, you can finally see him interact with these other characters. And they're bringing Wolverine, who just, I mean, Hugh Jackman just... talk about a dreamboat, God, with the Australian accent and everything. And Jeezy Pete's, man, just his fantastic portrayal of Logan Wolverine. Logan was a great movie too.
Which I didn't see, and we were just watching the second trailer, which is hilarious, actually. We were thinking we were going to get some more information on it.
Sure. And it's not.
We didn't, but definitely worth checking out for a minute now.
But the great part about them maintaining this R rating is...
wait, hold on. Logan, just another spoiler alert. I didn't see that movie, but apparently he dies at the end.
Yes, Wolverine. He does.
So he's gone for good.
But then Logan takes place in the future because so many rabbit holes to fall down. Essentially, Logan's primary ability is his ability to regenerate himself. Yeah. And so if you follow the at least how they've set him up in the movie universe, he like is born in like the 1800s, and so he's like 280 years old. It's some ridiculously high number because he's regenerative. And so the Logan takes place in the future when he's finally, like, his body is getting tired of regenerating itself, and so his regeneration is slowing down. So it's like he's finally getting old at 200 whatever, or whatever obscenely high age. And so they're saying that I think the Deadpool 3 is going to take place before that.
Before the finale. So they're not necessarily like bringing him back or restarting. They're just going to do it before.
But I mean,
that's your thought.
That's what my thought is. I mean, they have the entire palette of multiverse, so they could just bring him from another universe or whatever, because ever since Doctor Strange in the Multiverse, I mean, anything's possible now at different timelines, different dimensions, all these things.
Some more questions on that. So now there's this multiverse thing where people are in different dimensions. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, with Multiverse of Madness, and then I mean, even with like Loki and stuff, they're playing with a lot larger ideas, which I think you said it. You kind of lost some focus on it. My wife is similar. I'm still super stoked about a lot of them, but yeah, I mean, it's getting more out there, just broader, crazier topics to be trying to incorporate into movies.
I think as a layman, I think they're losing us like on the fringe people.
Sure.
The ones that are like, we're there, we're hanging on, trying to figure this out. And now with this whole multiverse, bringing everyone back, kind of undoing things like you talked about with SpiderMan and then the Thanos thing, all that. Then that's too much. That just rocks us off the boat on the fringe. But I think what it's doing is it's making people that are into it a lot more into it, because
you have to be.
One, you have to be. And two, I think it's going back to more the comics. I may be wrong. I haven't read this, but I think it's kind of returning to that comic realm. And I remember with the comics, that's one thing that why I was never able to get into them, because it did feel like it was so complex. Like you'd get into it and you'd be like, whoa, this is happening. They're here. They're here. Wait, so...
Well, and with such an interconnected universe like that, and the other like almost joke in comics is like a superhero can die, they're never dead. They always come back. Like it's like, oh, they died, they sacrificed themselves, but then that was a dream. Oh, but then we did time travel and we stopped him. Oh, but then we pulled him from a different dimension. It's like you can never kill off the characters, and so. I mean, to some extent, that cheapens the character, because it's like
that's what I feel like.
You can't ever sacrifice anybody, because it's always you always bring them back. But I mean, I don't think they're going to bring back Robert Downey Jr. I think he's done. And
you can't make another one. So I think that's one of the things with these ones where the actor is so Hugh Jackman with Wolverine, Robert Downey Jr. with Iron Man. You couldn't bring him back, because you can't just recast that person like you would a Mark Ruffalo with Edward Norton.
Okay.
That was early on.
Yeah.
It was, now there's so much built on it. There's so much story there. And I feel like those people specifically are so iconic. No one's beating Robert Downey Jr. when it comes to Iron Man.
No. He is Tony Stark. He made Tony Stark who he is, and that's who it is. The only way that they're ever going to be able to reboot it is going to be like, it's going to be a decade later, because if they try and do it again, everyone's going to be like, no. And even if you waited 10 years, you're still going to meet resistance, because it's like he embodied Tony Stark. Like that was the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, some actors are just the characters. Like Ryan Reynolds, perfect example.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine anyone else playing Deadpool. I think he's the perfect one. In fact, Deadpool is probably my favorite movie of this whole... Like the OG Deadpool is my favorite movie of all these universe things, because of all those things you said earlier. Yeah. It had just elements of everything, and like I said, I thought he fit the character perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The only thing the second one, not as good as the first, but in the post-credit scene where he's going and cleaning up the timelines is what he says he's doing. He goes back and kills himself because he appeared in Wolverine Origins, where he was Deadpool, but he was like a horrible, stupid version of it with his mouth stitched shut, and it was like, what is this garbage? Like they tried to do it, and it was like bad.
I mean, do we have to bring up Green Lantern? I feel like that's something that he must have had sealed in like the annals of history, because nobody talks about that anymore.
Well, and that's the best part, is because even in the original Deadpool, he makes fun of that movie, and there's a scene where there's a card of him as Green Lantern. And then when he's going into the program where he turns him into Deadpool, it says, as long as you make sure that my suit isn't green or animated. And it's like, oh God, that's just so great.
So do you think this one is going to live up to the hype? I mean, a lot of hype here. It's been how many years since the last one?
I don't know how many years. Too many. I don't know. I want it so badly too. And Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are both fantastic as their characters, because again, like I said, Robert Downey Jr., Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. I mean, he's Logan. He's fantastic. So as long as they can get the writing correct and carry on with that stuff, God, hope so. Oh my God.
So let's play this game. Higher or lower than expectations? Expectations are pretty high for this one.
They're pretty high.
So do you think it's going to come out higher, better, or lower?
I want so badly for it to be higher.
All right, so you're going to say higher?
I would say higher.
I'm kind of in the same camp as you. I want it to be higher, but I'm also scared ever since Toy Story 4.
Oh, God.
My trust has been broken. We talked about it before. 1, 2, 3, awesome.
Fantastic.
Like this one. First one, great. Second one, good. Third one, is it going to be just as good? Maybe right there with expectations, or is it just going to completely bomb? I want to say I don't see it bombing.
I don't see it bombing.
I see it doing well. My only worry, and this is my plea basically to the writing, is don't cop out. I hate when they make things like uber happy, or the story is so simple and easy to predict. Exactly. Predictable. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Where it's like, okay, this guy's going to die. This guy's going to come in here.
Sure.
Everyone's going to be happy at the end. I just don't want it to be like that. I want it to be surprising. I want it to be interesting and not just a redo of the other Deadpools.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
any other thoughts on Deadpool 3?
So many, but I could go on for days.
All right. Final comments.
Oh my God. It's supposed to be 2024.
2024 is what I saw.
It's a long way off.
That's what I noticed too. I was like, wow, teaser trailers already.
It makes me a little sad.
It's a whole year of expectations, which is only going to make it that more exciting when it comes
true.
out.
That's true.
So I guess we'll wait for more teasers.
Yeah.
Catch you in the next one.